I saw your page and mentioned the art of Flowsuasion movement. Maybe you could talk about that, because that seems pretty. That seems pretty.
Yeah. So actually, that my birthday challenge was kind of like it part of that whole thing, because the art of Flowsuasion basically talks about flow, because flow is supposed to be like the happy medium between something that you can do very well and something that you're very passionate about. And then at some point you get into a flow of it because you've done it so long, you're so good at it. You're just like, oh, like this is autopilot, and it comes out well. So like that movement is more about like, find that medium, find that thing that kind of gets you into that Zen space where you're like, okay, like this is super easy for me, and it's something that I can create something amazing out of. Like that's, because everyone has it in them as far as like having some sort of creative energy. And sometimes it just takes a little bit more like, pushing to get it out. But, there's always something in someone. And once you find it, you get to that point where you're just like, wow, like I can create something super dope with this. And it's not even hard to do either. Because a lot of people think that like, especially with like dancing and like the stuff that we do, they're like, oh my God, this is too hard. Like, this is beyond me. Like, not. Like, I'm not, like, it can be real intimidating. But at the end of the day, like, it's like, no, we just created it to, like, it took that practice to make it look easy. And then it's like, to repeat it back where it's just like, okay, it was actually super easy, but it was actually really complicated. So.
It's easy because you're in the flow.
But yes, I think it takes a specific individual, a specific self-belief to go after your passion, to chase your passion. I think for you guys to say, instead of just saying, maybe it was just at 9 to 5, or maybe you were working a 9 to 5 and then doing this on top.
So as far as like kind of like a mantra goes, something that kind of keeps us going, at least for me, hard work will beat out talent any day. And I say this because I'm not like the best dancer as far as like, if I went up against a professional dancer, that like the ones you see on Instagram, like it's kind of like, you'll see the difference. Like, I'm not saying that I'm a bad dancer or anything, but like, as far as like being a trained dancer, I was never really professionally trained, but I've seen a bunch of trained dancers who haven't had the opportunities that I've had, only because I worked hard. And like you said, like, if I worked a 9 to 5 and still did this on top, I used to work 10-hour shifts. I used to work at this cannabis dispensary, and we had 10-hour shifts, and I would work, 5 to 6 days a week, and I would still, literally forever, and I would still like, and have these gigs. I would take the time off and I'd go to them. I would like make split decisions, like last minute, like, oh, do you want to dance on Groove Cruise in Miami? It's in 4 days. Yeah, I'm down. Fucking book my flight and I'm out, the next day, because I want to do this. So sometimes it is a lot of last minute decision making, and it really, really depends on where you are mentally, because if you're not prepared, it's kind of hard to make that split decision, because you're like, fuck, am I prepared? Am I ready? Am I going to take this time off of work? Like, and I'm not saying like, put your work second, because a lot of times your work is, it's your career, it's your job, whatever. But at the end of the day, if it came down to it and I had to pick like my day job and doing a gig the next day, I would pick the gig. And there's been so many times where I've done that, even if it paid less than my, day job or whatever it may be, I always took that last chance, because sometimes the best gigs are the last minute gigs, and you want to grab that shit by the fucking horns and be like, I'm ready, because, your day job, it pays the bills, but I want something to like, feed my soul, like heart and my passion. Unless you're doing your job is your passion, then fuck yeah, dude, like all the power to you. But I know a lot of people are out there working 9 to 5 with a job that they don't really necessarily like, or a job that kind of brings them down, and I speak from experience from like past work and stuff, like picking the gigs is something you have to do if you're really, really passionate about it. Otherwise, you're always going to go with the money. You're always going to go with what pays more or what's, you know, paying the bills. And I get that because I've sacrificed some gigs because I had to pay, you know, rent or a car payment, whatever. So I know, you know, it just, you're going to have these decisions all the time, and it's just a matter of balance. Sometimes you're going to go with that gig. Other times you're going to go with paying your bills, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you miss an opportunity, you miss an opportunity. It's not a big deal. Like, there will be more. There will be tons of more. You just have to keep working hard and hard. Like I said, hard work, you know, will beat talent any day. You could be the most talented dancer, but if you're not putting yourself out there, you're not going to book the gigs. But you could be like an okay dancer, and you're out there fucking hauling ass. You're like, you know, sending your shit out to every single DJ festival, and you know, you're gonna get booked, whether it's one festival, two, like you're getting booked more than the person who's not really doing anything. So
yeah. And that's what it boils down to when it comes to the freelance game. And just like, if you do really want to be a part of this, like, it's gonna be a bunch of decisions, like a bunch of split decisions, or like, you know, crossroads every time. Like, there's never gonna be one solid one that's gonna kind of like turn it around. It's always just gonna be like, you know, you're always going to have to think about it. Like, you're always going to have to kind of like look into the future a little bit and see how it's going to help you out and what you're going to benefit from the most. Because, you know, at the end of the day, like the EDM, you know, as far as like EDM careers, a lot of them do end up being like a seasonal thing, or they only end up being for certain amounts of time. And because of that, it makes it hard to make it a stable thing. And it's like, you know, we all gotta pay our bills. Like, we can't tell the government, like, okay, we didn't get our money this week, we didn't get paid, we need a gig. Like, they ain't gonna take that. Like, and that's why, you know, there are gonna be times where you're gonna be like, okay, well, I still need something that I need to, you know, so that I can fall back on, so that I still can make my presence known at these things. Because I know there's a lot of people, like, I feel very iffy about it when like people try and like spend all their money on like festivals, and then they're like, okay, but I ain't got nothing to show for myself. Because it's like, okay, I get the passion, but you should also understand too that there's a gentle balance of like, hey, you still gotta pay your bills, you still gotta do that, but keep that passion into it. And that's why it, you know, it's gonna be where you have to weigh out a lot of things all the time. You're gonna be like, okay, is this gonna be the one? Is this gonna be okay for me to miss, or is this gonna be like I have to be at this? Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's ultimately it's gonna be up to you. Like, it's gonna be up to your own judgment as far as like what you're gonna do. But, you know, to a degree, like, you're definitely gonna have your passion play into it, where it's like, okay, like, I can struggle for a little bit so that I can make this happen. Like, there are always things you can be willing to compromise for.
It's like investing in your dreams, basically.
Exactly.